Evening all. Well, what to talk about this week? So we did have a game last week, which was absolutely fantastic. Came up against the what were top of the league for a very, very long time. You may remember my comment last time we played them that it was a 2-horse race and somebody shot our horse. That was the same team. So what we're going to look at this week is the return fixtures. And I really like this part of the season because, you've played most of these teams more than once now, and you are really starting to learn exactly the way that they play. So, unfortunately, we did come up second best in that return fixture at home. A lot closer than what it was. I think you might probably remember, I think we had 70 points put on us and didn't actually score a try in the first time that we played them. But I think this week it was a heck of a lot closer. I think there was maybe a couple of tries in it. So, really great to kind of see. And it's really great as a grassroots coach, because obviously international coaches, they get all this analysis, they get to do all this sort of video stuff and look and put together a game plan specifically for individual teams that they're playing. Obviously, we don't have that luxury, I'm afraid, at grassroots level. Yeah, of course, there's VO footage and stuff like that, but I'll be honest with you, I work full-time, and trying to fit that in around training and working and all that sort of stuff just is not going to happen. So obviously, as a team, we have to stick to our own principles and the way that we want to play. But actually, on these return fixtures, it's really great to kind of know what to sort of expect. So last week, we actually changed the way our defensive system was going to work, given the fact that we know how this team played. And do you know what? For 60 minutes, it worked really well. We were pushing them back inside. We were kind of causing all sorts of havoc with their attack. And then something just happened. They just really put it all together and kind of put us to the sword a little bit. Whether that was because we were tired or whatever, I'm not sure. But their class really shone through in the last sort of 20 minutes. But it was really good to kind of have a game plan for that specific team and work to that, which was kind of new for us so far this season. I think also, when you have these return fixtures, you might have put a team to a sword before and really put some points on and really ground them into the ground. But it's also really important to remember not to take any of these games lightly. That's how you get what I would call a sucker punch when you think, oh yeah, we've definitely got this game in the bag. Means that people go into it, even just 10% off. And, that opposition come in with a bit of a point to prove, or they have a few players back, all that sort of stuff. I've experienced it myself of being in teams and also coaching teams where, have come up against this opposition again that you met in the first half of the season. You've got a few personnel changes, you've got a different mentality, you've maybe changed up the way that you were playing. And then a game that you maybe lost in the first half of the season, you then come back and you're absolutely roaring into it and causing all sorts of trouble for them. So it's really important not to take anybody lightly, even if you think you know what's coming from them. It's around planning and organising about what they're going to do, and also how you're going to push your strengths back on them as well. You might think you know what's coming, but actually opposition change, the people that I have in the team change. And it's really interesting in sort of the Leeds area that as we get into the second half of the season, a lot of these guys play sort of dual code. So they'll play rugby union through the winter, and then rugby league into the summer. And actually what we see is that crossover blends. A lot of teams lose a lot of players back to sort of rugby league, especially if they've played, or they are playing a higher level in that sport. They are back at pre-season training, they're back at friendlies, all that sort of stuff. So the team that you think is coming might be completely different to what you've kind of played before. But it's always good to kind of have an idea and identity of what you think they're bringing to the table. And I think lastly, it's really important to not complain about the names on your own team sheet. And I've sort of fallen foul to this a couple of times. And, as coaches, like, I wish that person was available. I wish that person was playing. I wish they were there. And ultimately, we're not in control about what guys do during the weekend. If they're injured or they've got plans, all that sort of stuff. We are grassroots community rugby. We don't get paid, as I'm sure I've said many times. We don't get paid to do this. So if something is taking precedence over the rugby, then so be it. And I've been really guilty of it. And I remember back to a couple of years ago when we were going away and playing away to a local rival of ours. And I saw the team sheet and I thought, I don't think this is going to go very well. And then actually we got there and the guys played out of their skins. You know, the confidence and the determination and everything that they brought to that table was absolutely unbelievable. And actually, yes, we lost that game, but we only lost by 1 point to a final kick of the game. And I was going into it, of course, I try and hide this from the guys. I don't try and let my players know my own personal thoughts towards opposition and things. But, I really went into that game thinking, this could be a cricket score given kind of what's out there. And you know what? They ran around for 80 minutes. They put their bodies on the line and they really, really fronted up and showed what it's like to kind of put on the shirt. And, looking at a team sheet or picking from people who want to be there, that's really important. Using the people who actually put their hand up and say, do you know what? Give me a shot. I'm ready to go. So, it'd be really great if you share some examples where you've let the team sheet run away with you, or you think you've got a really strong team and it's not gone quite the way that you thought. So drop me a message, put some comments in. Have you had situations that are similar to that before?